In this video I am going to explain one of the romantic story about a first love of a young boy. But before we begin, remember to leave a like, a comment and of course, subscribe if you like the breakdown. Let's get started. The movie begins as the hero Rodino Amoroso shares a memory of Malèna. He was just a boy that day and his father bought him a bicycle. There was an event in town to celebrate Italy's joining the war. Many of the townspeople were rejoicing. The boys were busy doing their own thing. They were looking at an ant through a magnifying glass. The hero was pedaling and enjoying his bicycle. Malèna was about to leave the house. Renito drove to the waterfront to see his friends. He hoped that having a bicycle would help him join their group. While the boys were voting, one of them went to explore. Suddenly the boy beckoned. The boys instantly sat down on the parapet and got ready. Walking down the embankment, Malèna was at the sight of the woman. Reno's eggplant showed itself as the woman passed. The boys got on their bikes and were hurrying to a new location where they could admire the woman's beauty again. Malèna passed by again. The woman was incredibly beautiful. Renito inhaled her scent and closed his eyes in pleasure. In the next scene we see a school for boys. Anna's father teaches Latin. He is hard of hearing and the students take advantage of this by saying bad things to him about his daughter. The boy can't sleep at night. He dreams of the woman he has seen. The next day the hero and his friends are having fun on the beach. His buddy told the guys a story about buying cigarettes for Malèna. The guy believed that he had a chance to get close to the woman but he missed it. Renito didn't like his friend's talk. He tried to besiege his acquaintance but the guys laughed and decided to measure their eggplants. One day Renito decided to skip school. He went to the waterfront to Malèna's house. The boy fantasized about a woman asking him to come up and her leg being bare to her thigh. In the next scene Renito went to the tailor. He wanted to alter his father's best pants on himself. When the man came home from work he beat Renito up. His father promised to buy the guy pants when the bust of the leader split in half. At night the hero ran away from home to see Malèna. There was a hole in the wall of her house through which there was a good view of the living room. After a while the men in the barber shop were discussing the local beauty. Everyone was curious about who the woman was spending her nights with while her husband Nino was at war. A little while later Malèna was lounging on the beach. To her chest she clutched her husband's letter. Renito watched the woman through binoculars. At night he again snuck into the secret place to admire the beauty. Malèna was smoking and sewing something on a sewing machine. The woman was wearing a light strapless dress. She came up to change the record on the gramophone. A strap fell off the heroine's shoulder exposing the beauty's roundness. Renito was shocked at how lucky he was to see the woman's melon. Malèna put out her cigarette and cleaned off the table, then picked up a picture of her husband and started dancing with it. Renito watched the woman's movements greedily. The next day Renito tried to find out the name of the song to which Malèna had danced. He bought a record of the song and listened to it at home before going to bed. Renito had a special book of beautiful ladies. He used it when he was relaxing. This time the boy couldn't concentrate on the beautiful pictures. In his dreams it was Malèna. He imagined the woman letting him exploring her body. The hero wrote a letter to his beloved, Renito, confessing his feelings for the woman. The boys did not change their tradition. Every day they gawked at Malèna and admired her firm peach. Renito followed the beauty on his bicycle. Every man in their town wanted to have fun with Malèna. When the woman walked down the street she was accompanied by lustful and envious looks. Malèna never gave anyone a reason to gossip. The woman was polite to everyone. Renito followed her on his bicycle. He rode behind the heroine to some house. The woman forgot her key and asked an unknown man to open it for her. In the evening Renito watched a movie. He imagined himself and Malèna in the shoes of the heroes. The hero was repairing his bicycle with a handyman and he felt Malèna approaching. Forgetting everything Renito rode after the woman. He listened to the women who were also owing the beautiful woman say nasty things about her. The townspeople compared Malèna to the baron's mistress. They considered her a fallen woman. After overtaking the heroine Renito rode towards Malèna. Once again he followed her to the place where she went every day. This time the heroine had a key. Renito cycled through the courtyard looking around the building. Through the gate he climbed upstairs to see what the woman was doing. Malèna was setting the table. In the next room sat a man and his face was not visible. However the man walked into the dining room and the boy recognized him as his teacher, the woman's father. Every day Malèna walked across town to take care of her elderly father. Renito saw the heroine's towel fall by the heroine's side. The woman crouched down to pick it up. In the eyes of the guy this moment was imprinted as a picture of the naked figure of the beauty. In the evening he repeatedly recalled it and helped himself to let off steam. The boy's actions made a certain amount of noise so Renito's parents were aware of their son's nighttime activities. Reno's father believed that the boy would someday go blind from frequently touching his eggplant. After a while the boys practiced sports in the plaza. From his classmates René learned that the heroine's husband had died in the war. Everyone whispered that Malèna was free. After school René would rush to the woman's house. In the square they expressed their condolences to Malèna. The gossip in the crowd began to say that the woman was already looking for a new husband. The townspeople believed that Malèna's target was the young lieutenant. René couldn't listen to the gossip, so he left the square. The boy climbed the fence outside the heroine's house. He imagined that the doors to her house were open. Through the crack he could see the woman's long legs wearing beautiful stockings. Malèna was experiencing her loss alone. René would come over to comfort the woman and would promise to be with her always. In another hero's fantasy, Malèna was in the role of the Virgin Mary who accompanied the funeral procession. After a while René listened to men talking at a local club. He moonlighted there as a waiter and spit in the drinks of those who spoke ill of a woman. In the library the guy overheard a conversation between women. An old lady was spreading dirty rumors about the heroine. René ruined her purse. The boy decided to share his secret in church. He chose a saint he could trust. The boy asked the saint to protect Malèna. The next day René saw the woman in town. As befits a widow, the woman wore black, but even her new status and dark clothes didn't stop the evil tongues. Enraged, the guy broke a window in the building where the gossip was coming from. The hero approached Malèna's house. From behind the fence he watched the woman doing things in the garden. The boy snuck inside, ripped off the woman's panties and ran away. He didn't want to be seen. At home René recalled the image of the woman. In the morning his father came to wake his son and found the boy asleep with the woman's panties on his face. When the man lifted the underwear, the boy was smiling in his sleep. The father began beating his son, calling him nasty words. René tried to run out of the room but was confronted by his mother and joined his father. While the mother burned the underpants, the father forbade his son from leaving the room. Later his mother was worried that René had not eaten all day. She complained to her husband about the quality of the goods. At that moment Petro was spitting out coffee. The man showed the woman exactly how their son's underwear ripped. He asked her not to sew up Reno's underwear. The next day friends were standing outside the boy's house. They heard René reading a prayer book. The guys assumed that the hero was either crazy or blind. A doctor drove up to Reno's house. The friends decided that the situation was getting serious. When the boy was examined by the doctor he read prayers. The doctor advised to send the child the fresh air. In the next scene René was riding his bicycle and smiling. The men around him were behaving strangely. At school Malèna's father received an urgent letter. The students were curious about what the message said. When the teacher came out of class one of the boys made a joke. René started fighting with him. He imagined himself as a gladiator in the arena defending the honor of a beautiful lady. In the evening he watched the woman's house. She had a guest. The same young lieutenant. The man ran into another friend of the woman's on the street. A fight broke out. In the morning the whole town was buzzing with news of the young widow's troubled life. The woman was to be tried for having an affair with a married man. When Malèna arrived at her father's house his door was locked. The woman went to a lawyer. At the court hearing they discussed the personal life of the heroine. René again imagined the seductive figure of a woman without clothes. In the evening the heroine danced with her lawyer. He tried to get close to the woman. René peeped at the couple through the window and fell off a branch from the experience. Later he went to a movie. The Baron's mistress made him feel good. In the blonde's place Rodino saw Malèna. After a while René felt homesick and saw his first love everywhere. The woman rarely left the house. In class he was daydreaming. The teacher kicked him out of class. On his way downstairs René pushed a statue of a great leader. His father kept his promise. René got his first long pants. The hero watched the lawyer. He liked the way the man's mother beat the man with flowers. At the wharf the man tried to discuss the situation with Malèna. The woman was walking through the city. She was besieged by rumors. At one point René and the heroine found themselves alone in a small courtyard. René watched as the stranger stroked his beloved's cheek. Suddenly airplanes appeared in the sky. The city began to be bombed. After the attack the townspeople removed the rubble and said goodbye to the woman's father. Every man approached Malèna with an interesting proposal. In the evening the woman cut off her long hair. René watched her from his hiding place. He saw the woman washing herself and rubbing herself with lemon juice. A car with an officer pulled up to Malèna's house. The man had come to have some fun. The next day René saw Malèna on the street. The woman looked even more beautiful with a short haircut and blonde hair. Remembering her René rubbed his eggplant furiously. Time later the boy witnessed the woman getting into a car with German officers. Rumors about Malèna made René faint. The mother tried to exorcise the devil on her son. The father chose a more progressive way to deal with the boy's obsession. He took the boy to a special institution where he became a man. René imagined he was doing it with Malèna. In the next scene the townspeople rejoiced at the arrival of the military. René had his own reasons for rejoicing. The women decided to take revenge on Malèna. They dragged her out by the hair and beat her in the square. None of the men stood up for the woman. René sadly watched what was happening. The women cut Malèna's hair and tore her clothes. The heroine was sad, but she found the strength to get up and leave. Hiding her face under a handkerchief, Malèna left the city by train. Renato saw her off with a look. Later he threw away a record with a song that reminded him of his first love. Malèna's husband Nino returned to the ruined town. The townspeople thought he was dead. The man arrived at his home but found strangers there. No one knew where Malèna had gone. Renato came to the men's club to find out the news. Nino asked the German officer to find his wife and return the house. The man questioned people on the streets. As a result, he was beaten up. Renato helped the man. At night he threw Nino a letter telling him where the woman had gone. Nino left to look for Malèna. A year later the town was living its normal life. Renato had a girlfriend. Suddenly the crowd began to whisper. Malèna and her husband were walking through the square. Later the heroine went to the market. Malèna's bag of fruit was torn. Renato helped her to collect oranges. The guy wished Malèna happiness and left in the other direction. He carried the memory of his first love through his life. Hope you liked it. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.